Hi, this is Everett. Everett's Watercolors. Welcome to my studio. This is Everett's Watercolors coming back to do another watercolor demonstration. And I'm in the studio today broadcasting to LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and later on into Instagram. And I'm in my studio today with my wife, Gloria.
Welcome, everyone.
And she'll be monitoring the broadcast and also the chat room. The chat room's live, so if you have a question or comments during the broadcast, give me a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Uh, if this is your first time seeing the show, welcome to my studio. If this is your first time, uh, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you'll be notified of my next live broadcast. This is a live broadcast today, and you'll also see it on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn on replay. So if you subscribe, you can also make comments in the section below on the video if you see it later on. Today I'm going to do a demonstration on autumn colors, and I picked a nice scene today. I think you're going to enjoy that. This is my favorite time of the year. Lots of color out there starting. It's early in some places, but later in others. But I'm going to get started on my fall colors. I just love to get into that. So let me take you over to my painting table and let me explain what I'm going to do. So this is a couple reference photographs. I got a couple here. Now this is a beautiful scene here of some fall colors. A couple pictures I took up here just for references, but I like to look at the colors. You got the yellows and the oranges and the reds and the browns. I like the pathway in this particular picture here. I like the pathway. And this is almost a little hill coming over here. So those elements I'm going to put into my painting today. But I also have another photograph. This one, I like the yellow and orange and the contrast with the blue sky. The blue is a beautiful complementary color to the orange and yellows. So the blue sky, and then there's also a small pathway down here also. So what I'm going to do, I'll take a combination of these two. I'll probably do it this way. I'll probably use the golden ones on the top because I want to get some sky on my painting. With these trees here, with the oranges and the yellows, and I'll put a pathway down at the bottom with probably a hill coming in. So that's kind of where I started my composition. As an artist, you can never find the perfect composition. If you go outside and look at nature, they always have to make some changes and make some modifications, move things around. That's what I'm going to do today. So I took those two photographs, I made up my composition. And what I've got here, I've got a large tree over here on the right, and I've got a smaller group of trees over here on the left, and I got that pathway coming down here, a roadway coming down here in the foreground, and I got a small hill over here on the right side. Now even in the background, I'm going to add a little mountain range back here behind this tree. And then here it has some blue sky up here. So blue sky, the far off mountains, the large tree, and the trees here, and then a pathway. And I'm going to put a couple figures also in my painting today. Okay, so this is my composition, the drawing I did on my drawing paper. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, my plan today, I'm going to use a loose style. You'll see I'll paint a little bit quicker in some places, but I'm going to use a loose style, use loose brush strokes. I'm going to use some spray bottles today, kind of loosen up everything, get things moving. Also, I'm going to use color masses, a lot of color mass. And of course, that blue sky up here in the top, competing or contrasting with the orange and yellows in the trees is a nice complementary color scheme. Okay, and some of my brushes I'm going to use today. This is Holbein's. This is a 1-inch flat brush. That's one going to be my workhorse today. 1-inch flat brush. It's a synthetic brush, but it does a good job. I've also got the Holbein number 4 rigger, which got the nice long thin. That'll help put some limbs and twigs and so forth in the painting. And I got the number 8 round Holbein round, and they'll probably put some of the trees and branches and so forth in. And I've also got another sharper over here for if I want to get some little detail. This is an Escardo. This is a nice, really nice brush, a number eight Escardo brush. Okay, the colors I'm going to use today, of course, are going to be fall colors. You can see here, I'm going to use all the yellows in my palette. Yellow ochre, yellow lemon, yellow deep. I'm going to use my yellow orange, my pyrrole red. Up here I'll be using a little bit of quinacridone violet. And then I have cerulean blue, and over here is be my ultramarine blue. And down here, of course, is my favorite one, burnt sienna right here at the very bottom. Burnt sienna and yellow ochre. Okay, so those are my colors, and this is my plan. I've got the drawing here on my, this is a quarter sheet of Gemini watercolor paper. It's a quarter sheet. It measures 15 inches long and about 11 inches wide. And I've got it in the portrait format because I'm going to do, this is a tall tree, so that kind of sets up the format to do a portrait format, which is going to be tall and narrow. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to load up the brush. I use the 1 inch. Oh, by now, what I do now, I wet the brush with water, just with water. And what I'm going to do now, here's something I'm going to do something new today. I'm going to start down here with the yellow lemon, and I'm going to double load my brush. I'm going to put a color on one side, and I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to put another color on the other side. So I've got two colors in the brush, two colors. And what I'm going to start with, I'm going to start here with this big tree over on the right, and I'm going to start right here in the middle, and the sun's coming down this way, so I'm going to put that. And I'm going to move my brush around so I got a combination of colors already. So I don't have to worry about mixing the colors. They're going to mix by themselves in the way they go. Now also I'm going to use the same brush. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of that, I'll use that same yellow deep, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of yellow orange now, a little bit of yellow orange. All right, and I'm going to come in here now. I'm going to continue on down here in this section. And I'm going to continue on. You notice I really haven't put any more water in the brush. I'm going to keep this fairly loose application. And I'm moving the brush around and getting a nice combination of, you see I'm twisting the brush, moving the brush up and down. Now I'll come in here with a spray bottle. Now this is my Palette in a Bottle dot sprayer with a white top. And this is Palette in a Bottle dot spray, and it's sold exclusively on Everett Watercolors, okay? And it's just got water in it. And what I'm going to do now is take it and just going to very light, just tap the brush, tap the bottle, very light, just a light tapping motion. And I'm going to put a little bit of water in there to kind of get that paint to move around a little bit, okay? So that gives me texture. The spray bottle gives me texture. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to load that brush up. I'm going to start again with the yellow lemon down here. And pick up a little more of that. You'll notice I haven't washed the brush out at all. I'm just going to pick up more paint right out of the palette. I'm not mixing it at all. And so here I'm going to start again with the, I'm going to do this top layer. There's a layer here and a second layer of leaves up here. I'm going to start with the top. This is the top part, which is the lightest. So I'll use that light yellow lemon. Then I'll come down with the yellow deep to give me a little shadow effect. I'm going to leave some white paper there also. Now I'm going to pick up a little more of that orange. And pick up that yellow deep. And I'm going to go back up here now. I'm going to put the orange down in here and put some of that color back up on this side here. Okay, so I kind of, as I say, I was want a loose application of paint. I'm really not brushing very hard here. I'm just getting a nice combination of colors and get started. It'll be like a base coat right here. Get things started. Now I'm going to take that dot spray bottle and with a light tapping motion, just going to tap it on there and get that paint to move around a little bit. So that'll loosen that color up. That'll loosen that color up. Okay. All right, now I'm going to move over here to the side, over here on this side. Use the same brush. I haven't cleaned it out. I'll use the same brush. And I'm going to start with there's a back row of trees right in here. So what I'm going to do is this tree right in here. I'm going to start with a little darker paint. I'm going to start with the let's see. I'm going to start introducing now. I will rinse my brush out because I'm going to change a little bit of color. I'll rinse my brush out. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of yellow ochre now. So right now, I've wet the brush. I got a damp brush. I rinsed it out, and I just have a damp brush with water in it. Now over here, I'm going to pick up yellow ochre on one side, and pick up a little bit of that a little yellow deep on the other side. So I'm double loading the brush again. I got yellow ochre here and yellow deep on this side. Now I'm going to go down here. This is a little further back, so I'm going to start with, I'm going to put the lighter color here on this side, and put that yellow ochre in there. You see the yellow ochre mixture coming in. A little bit of yellow ochre now, because this tree's a little further back in the landscape. So I'm putting a little bit of color change there. Okay, now I'm going to pick up a little bit more. I'm going to get a little more serious now. I'm going to pick up a little more. I'm going to put some orange on this side. I'm going to pick up a little bit of that pyro red. A little bit of pyro red. And I'm going to start introducing more of that also. And I'm going to go ahead and go put that in here. And I'm just moving the brush around. I'm not, I'm really not doing brush strokes at all. I'm just kind of moving the brush, twisting it in my hand, turning it a little bit, getting some little bit of variety of contact with the paper. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead. Now I'm going to use a spray bottle, and I'm lightly tapping it. Put a little bit of water in there. Get a little bit of water in there. Get that to float around. Now you can see. I'll bring it up close. Now you can see the water. You see the water, the paper moving, and the paint will move around now with that water. There we go. Okay. So again, let's let watercolor do its thing. Just let watercolor do its thing. Okay. Now I'm going to come down and I'm going to put a little more. Rinse out the brush. I'm going to change the paint just a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm rinsing the brush out. Taking the paint out of the brush. Now I'm going to go back to that yellow lemon on one side. And I'm going to pick up some more of that yellow ochre. This time I'm going to use yellow lemon and yellow ochre. So I've got here I've got yellow ochre on one corner, and I got yellow lemon on this corner. So now I'm going to, this is a little bit darker, so now I'm going to make this tree come a little bit forward now. I'm going to put a little more yellow on this one. Because it's closer to the sky. It's coming forward, so I'm going to put a little more lighter color in this section. Again, I'm moving the brush around. Get different angles. Get some more color in there. Now I'm going to pick up some of that orange. I like that orange, so I'm going to pick up some more orange. And I take that yellow lemon, and I'm going to kind of move that around. Bring it on down here. I'm going to pick up a little more. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of my burnt sienna. A little bit of burnt sienna and yellow ochre. So I got burnt sienna on one end and I got yellow ochre on the other. So burnt sienna and yellow ochre. So then I'm going to come in here now and put some of that darker brown. Especially on this is on the outside edge of the painting, so I want this to be a little bit duller out here. I don't want too much color on the edges of my paintings. Okay. Now I got yellow ochre and I got brown in here, so I'm going to take that burnt sienna now. I'm going to kind of go around and put some into my trees now. Into more of the shadow area. So now I'm using that burnt sienna and yellow ochre here to go into the bottom. Go back over here, kind of get some more. Now I'm going to use that spray bottle again, dot sprayer, and I'm going to just lightly tap. Don't want to overdo that either. You want to put a lot of light tapping. Now you can see really the textures of the trees are really beginning to build up now. Okay, nice. It looks like leaves up there. Okay, I'm going to let that dry a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead now. I'm going to clean up my brush. I'm going to let this dry. Let it kind of move around a little bit with the paint. Okay, I'm rinsing the brush out, and I'm tapping the sponge over here on the right. Tapping the sponge. I also can pick up a towel and move it. So now I'm cleaning out my brush. I'm going to make sure it's clean, because I'm going to change it into a color blue. I'm going to get the sky in there now. I get to work the sky in. So I'm cleaning out that yellow. Get some clean water. Now I'm going to go up here and I've got blue in my palette, so I'm going to mix up a little bit of the cerulean blue. Get a little bit of cerulean blue going here, up here in the top. And rinse out my brush a little bit. Now I've got the ultramarine blue over here. So that's going to be my sky color, a combination of those two right there. Okay, so I'm going to put some sky around the top of the trees and somewhere in the middle here. So I'm working on this combination here of a little ultramarine blue and a little bit of cerulean. All right, now I want to just wet the brush now. Now what I'm going to do now, the way I'm going to apply this one, I'm going to go a little bit of wet on wet. So a little bit of wet on wet. So what I'm going to do is take the spray bottle, and I'm going to just put a couple drops here in the sky, because I want the paper to be a little bit, not soaking wet, but have some moisture up there, so the paint will flow a little bit easier for me. Okay. All right. So again, the spray bottle is good for wetting the paper and getting things ready. And also, what I'm going to do here now, while this is here, I've got a spray bottle now with yellow lemon in it. A dot spray bottle with color. So I shake it up, and then shake up the color, make sure it's ready to go. And then what I do is I prime the pump. I come over here to the bucket. Now I just got the yellow ochre in here. I mean yellow lemon, and I'm going to go ahead and spray in some yellow into these treetops. I want to get some more color in here. So now I'm using a spray bottle now to add color to this composition. Now that gives me lots of little dots. We'll put that aside, and I'm going to pick up. Now I got another spray bottle with yellow orange in it. I'll shake it up, and I'm going to prime the pump. And I use again the same technique, a little light pressure, but now I'm going to put a little orange up in there. Okay, I started with a brush, but now I'm finishing up with a little bit of spray bottle. Before I know it, I'm going to have to dry this off just a little bit, because it's really getting full of paint. Okay. And I think what I'll do, and I can pick up the brush. Now what I like to do now, I rinse the brush out. I rinse the brush out again. Make sure it's got just water in it. Clean water. Now I'm going to go in here with my brush, and I'm just going to use the brush now to move some of that paint around. It's in a little bit of puddles now, so I'm going to kind of control that where I put it. Get a little texture on the edge here. So I'm moving some of that paint around to give me fill in some of those open areas. Leave some there, but I'm going to cover some of them up. Especially around the edges. And come over here and fill up some of this. So I'm using the edge of the brush now, the corner of the brush, to fill in some of these spots. To give me more cohesive application of the paint. Okay. Okay, well, now, I don't want to. Before I put the blue in the sky, it's still wet up there. I mean, it's still got a little bit of wetness. So I'm going to start putting a little bit of color down here in the foreground. So I'm going to use the brush again with a little bit of. I think what I'll do is I'll put. I'm going to use my old combination. I'm going to use yellow lemon and a little bit of yellow ochre. So now I've got yellow ochre and yellow lemon in my brush, and I'm going to go up here now. I'm going to put some. I'm going to put some bushes and so forth in here. And now I'm going to come down this hill and I'm going to put in some texture here. This is grass, brown grass, and change of color and so forth, just like we have in autumn. So this will be some leaves from the trees and so forth. So I'm just getting a little bit of color down here to get started, and we'll get that baseline started. Then over here also, again, I'll load up my brush again. I got a little bit of yellow ochre, a little bit of yellow lemon. Again, I'm on both sides. I got yellow ochre on one side and yellow lemon on the other. I'm going to come over here and put in some of that color in here along the edge of the roadway. Okay. All right. Now while I'm here, also I take that spray bottle and I'm going to take just with the water in a dot sprayer, and I'm just going to tap it lightly. Well, I'm going to just add a little more texture here in the foreground, just a little bit. Okay. Now, what I think before I go any further, I think I'm going to dry up here a little bit. Just dry. Get a little bit of dry. Up around the edges of where I'm going to put the sky. So I'm going to dry the edges of the tree up here. Not worried about the center of the tree. That's going to dry by itself, okay. But I want to get the edges, so I'll get the sky in around the edge. Okay, that's good enough. All right, so now I'm going to go. I got to wash my brush out. I got yellow in there now because I put yellow in from the foreground. Okay. So at this stage, of course, everything looks like a mess, but it's going to start coming together pretty soon. So far, I've added the yellows and oranges, but you see how beautiful those colors are. So this is why I love autumn, because I can use all kinds of colors I use all the colors in my palette basically, and that's what makes it really, to me, very exciting in the fall. And now I'll be doing more fall scenes because it's going to get more colorful as we go along. All right, now I'm going to take a damp brush and just water in it. Make sure it's just a damp brush. I got water, and I'm going to pick up some of that blue now. I'm going to start here with load the brush with ultramarine blue, and I'm going to put a few more drops in the sky, just a little bit. Remember, I dried it off just slightly. So I'm going to come in and put a few drops of water up there. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the blue sky in. And this blue, and this is ultramarine blue, first of all. Start with a darker color at the top. And it's a nice contrast with this yellows and oranges. Complementary colors always work well in a painting. If you're looking after you get your composition going, you start talking about your color combinations and so forth. And a good combination is a complementary color combination where you got the colors showing each of the oranges and the reds will show off much better with a blue or a purple background. And I'm going to use I'm going to leave a little bit of white edge around this because I like those highlights, and that'll emphasize that yellow. So I'm working the edge of the brush around the edge of the tree here. I'm going to leave a little bit of white showing here along certain areas to leave a little highlight there on the edge of the tree. And come on down here, and I can overlap. Some areas I'll overlap because I'll have blue sky here inside the tree also, coming through the branches and so forth. Yeah, spreading that color out. So now I'm going to pick up a little bit now, get a little bit of that lighter color, which is the cerulean blue. As I come down, I come a little bit lower down, the color changes slightly in the sky. It's not all the same. I come down in between these two trees here to break them up. Not break them up, just to show a little separation possibly between these two. One tree is a little bit ahead of the other. And I'll come on down here. I'll put some sky up here in the sky holes. And I'm putting that cerulean blue right on down here to the base of the top. Remember, I got this little mountain scene. I'm gonna put a little mountain to be here in the background. So I'll come right on down here. Behind here, I'll go some more, a little more blue back here. That cerulean blue back here on this side. Just a little bit. Smoothing out that color, smoothing it out. I don't need any white spaces in the sky. Just want to make sure it's nice and clean, colorful. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to mix up, I'm going to go ahead and put the mountain in there. So I'm going to use cerulean blue, oh excuse me, not cerulean blue. I've got quinacridone violet. I'm going to use a 1-inch brush, and I'm going to use lots of water in it. I'm going to put water in my brush, and I want a nice light value. And I'm going to mix a little bit of ultramarine blue. I don't want that to be that's quinacridone violet has got like a red violet. So I'm going to add a little bit of blue to that because I want to cool it down because this is in the background. A little more. Let's see if that's about what I want. So I'm going to go in here now. I'm going to go ahead and put the mountain in. Right behind this tree. And it'll also define the edge of this tree over here on the left. And it'll be a nice backdrop to this tree here on the right. We'll bring that on down. Now remember, watercolor will look a lot darker when you put it down, but then it's going to dry lighter. So it dries about 40% lighter when you put it down. So that's another thing you need to think about when you're painting with watercolor, is that the value is going to change as soon as it dries. It's going to be 40% lighter. So I always account for that. Otherwise, you'll have to go back in and add some more paint on top to make it darker. So I like to get mine right the first time. And it's not always possible. It's not always happens all the time. But you try to do that. You try to get it on the first shot so you don't have to go back in. Try to get the right color and the right value on the first shot so you don't have to redo it. Okay? All right, that's where the mountain comes in the background there. And I'm going to go off on the other side over here. So this mountain was not in any one of my reference photographs, but I want to put it in as an extra element because I think it adds to the interest of the painting, and that's something I always try to do, is try to add something that's more interesting than the photographs. You can never find a perfect composition. It's something always has to be changed, moved, added, whatever. So that's the first thing you learn as an artist is to find different things that work in a painting and then add them to the painting as you go on and practice that. Okay. All right, now I'm taking a look at that and I say, well, that might be, now what I do now, that might be a little darker than I wanted to, so I take a tissue and it's still damp. So what I do is I lay that over top of that and just very lightly touch that wet paint, and I'll pick it up and that will lighten it up just slightly, and I think that'll be better. Okay, I just took a little bit off just by laying a tissue on top of that mountain. Okay, and that kind of lightened it up a little bit, but still throws it in the background because the violet color is receding in the painting. Okay, let's see what I want to work on next. I think I'll put the trees in. I think I'll put the tree in, tree trunks. So that's why I picked my my handy dandy round brush here. This is the number 8 round by Holbein, and I'm going to use a little burnt sienna. So we'll start with burnt sienna, maybe yellow ochre in here, a little bit of yellow ochre also. And eventually I'll be putting a little bit of blue in. But let's go ahead and put this, we'll go ahead and put this tree trunk in. Now the sun's coming from this side, so the lighter edge will be over here. So I always start out with a kind of a light color, a medium color. You can always darken it up. You can always add color to a painting, but sometimes it's hard to take it away. So you want to start with a lighter value. You can always add color to it to make it darker. And on the back side, it's going to be a little bit darker because it's in shadow. This part of the tree in the back side here will be a little bit darker. Now I've got lots of limbs on here, but I'll put those in a little bit later. But I'm going to just start identifying some locations. There's one up here, there's one down here, which we'll put in a little bit later. Boop, I'll move that over there. And there'll be a few. These are like fence posts. These are like fence posts, or there could be. It could also be tree trunks. But anyway, there is little indications here in the background. Middle ground. Put that there. And I've got some along the edge of the road here, and this is tracks. These are like tracks on the road. This is an old dirt road. And just put some, and over here, here at the bottom, I'm going to add some features. I'm going to add some rocks down here, a little bit of rocks along the edge, a little rocky edge at the bottom of this hill. Again, another feature, another element you can add to your paintings just by, if you look at photographs or other pictures and so forth, you'll find these elements all over the place. You'll find rocks, you'll find stones, and then you can add them to your painting. And that's what I'm doing here. I don't have a photograph. I don't need a photograph. I'm going to go ahead and invent the side of the road here with some rocks. Okay. Now we build that up a little bit. Let's see. I think what I'm going to do now is at the stage where I want to dry. I need to dry stuff off because I'm going to put some limbs and stuff in there. So I'm going to dry. I got to dry some of this stuff off. So what we've done so far, we put in both trees, and I'm not finished yet, but I just start blocking in the trees with spray bottles and brush strokes and so forth. Remember, I used the double loading of the brush, and I think that by moving the brush around, you get a good variety of color mixed in. And the spray bottle will help also add texture to that area. I put in just plain water to have the paint flow, and then I added color in a bottle, in the spray bottle, to add more texture, add more color and more color changes to what's there. And I'll be doing some more before I finish. That was just a starting point. Okay, so I'm making sure I get this dry enough so I can start putting some branches in. It looks pretty good now. Once the shine goes away, I can see it from here. Once the shine goes away, then it's safe enough to go ahead back in. All right. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take the rigger brush, and I'm going to make a darker batch here of blue. So I'm going to take this blue and brown mixture. And I'm going to go ahead now and start putting in some branches. Let's see. Now load up the rigger by the side. Load that rigger up, and I'll make a nice point on that. You can see that rigger, nice pointy brush. And now I can go in there and start putting in some branches. And I think I'll start here. Some branches off of this limb right here. And this will give some character to this tree. This tree will have a little bit of character now with some more definition, some branches. This branch here is two things. It defines a branch for the tree, but it also overlaps the mountain behind, so it's going to push the mountain back. Once you put an element over top of another element, it helps develop depth in the painting. Now up here, remember I said before, we can always add paint on top. Well, here, because this is these limbs up here are in shadow, they're underneath the branch, underneath the leaves, they're going to be darker. And I'm going to put another branch over here. Now, this does two things here. I'm connecting the right side with the left side. I'm going to do that with these branches. I don't want to have this side isolated from this side, so the branches are going to reach over and going to overlap this tree over here, and that'll give me some connection from right to left. And I think that's very important in a painting. You don't have isolated sections. You want to make a cohesive shapes back and forth. Now I'm going to put some branches up in here now. I've got branches up here that are in between these clumps of leaves. There's branches. Kind of connect some of these lumps. I got some sky holes in here, and I can show branches coming through. So this rigger brush gives me a nice detail brush stroke where I can get in there and do small shapes like branches and twigs and things like that. So you can add as many of these as you want to paint. I'm gonna make enough here so I just to realize that there's a connection here between these clumps of leaves and parts of the trees that's connected together from the center. And then this, I'll put a little more water in that, a little more water in the brush. Now this side of the tree is going to be in shadow, so I'm going to bring down a little bit of shadow pattern here on the right side. It's the shadow side of the tree. And then I'm going to take just plain water in the brush. I rinsed it out, and I'm going to drag it along the edge of that paint, and that's going to give me a graded wash. It's going to soften that edge up and give me a greater wash, so it'll make it look rounded. Okay. I'll put one more, I think I got a couple more branches out here on this side. Now this side of the tree, I don't want to take the focus away from this tree, so I don't want these to be, you're going to see them, but I'm not going to make them as well defined. This is the most important part of the branches and so forth, is over here. So these are going to be a little less defined. They're just going to be lighter, not as specific and so forth. Just an idea, just a hint that there's branches out there. And I'm going to have some branches down here. I'm going to have some twigs and weeds, and not weeds, but bush trunks down here, bush sticks sticking up out of the ground. There'll be some over here also. Okay. Okay. I think what I'll do now, I'm going to leave the road pretty well white. I'm not going to even touch the road. Let's see. Now I'm going to mix up a little bit of gray. Mix up a little bit of gray. I'm going to use this purple up here, which is the blue and I put quinacridone violet and ultramarine blue together, and I'm going to take a little bit of yellow ochre, which is a contrasting color. Yellow and violet gives me a contrasting color, and that's a good way to make a gray, is to put contrasting colors together. So I put the yellow ochre in with that purple, and I'm going to get a gray. Right now it's brown. It's kind of a brownish mixture. Now to darken that up a little bit, I'll take a little more blue. So I'll take ultramarine blue, come in there. So I'm mixing up a nice gray. I'm controlling the temperature, which is, I want it to be cooler. Controlling the temperature and the value. Okay, and I'm going to go under here now. Under these trees, I'm going to make a little more of a shadow. I'm just going to put this gray in here as more of a shadow pattern underneath these trees right now, just to indicate that. And I'll put some shadows back up in here underneath these trees. And I also can put some shadows in the tree itself to break up some of this color a little bit. So now I'm going in, I'm kind of engineering the shadow patterns in these trees, little tree mass. Break them up just a little bit with a shadow pattern. You'll notice I'm going to leave this white area down here because that's where the focal point will be. And over here on this, a little more of that purple in over here now, a little more purple. Now I'm going to come down this hill a little bit. Now there's a shadow I'm going to put on this section over here. And I'm going to use a brush stroke, use the side of the brush, and I'm going to put a little shadow pattern over here. Kind of break this up a little bit here. Just break it up just a little bit. This section in here, put a light shadow, just a couple brush strokes, make it rough. Remember I said I was going to do a loose painting today, not necessarily all well defined, but a loose painting application using spray bottles and large brush. Okay, I think over here I'll use my round brush again, and I'll use the round brush, and I can put in some more tree trunks. There's some more tree trunks here I can put in. This tree here will have some branches. I'll put them in here, just kind of indicating there's a branch running off here. Little definition. Kind of breaks up that color a little bit. Kind of adds a little more definition to the trees over here. And I'll put a few more. I'll put a few more trunks and branches down in here, just to indicate these trees have some shape to them. A little indication of a branch or a trunk or something. That's good enough. Oh, okay. All right, now I think I'm about ready to put in the people. So let me see. What I'm going to do is take this. I use a Scarto brush because it's got a sharp point to it, and I'm going to mix up a darker mix. I'll use the ultramarine blue and my burnt sienna. It'll give me a nice dark color. Whenever I want a dark color, I use the blue and ultramarine. Ultramarine blue, I mix a little bit of brown, burnt sienna to it, and that gives me a perfect black. And I can go as dark as I want. I can go light or I can go dark, just by that. And I can add other colors to it, but that really sets it off. All right, now I use this sharp point now. Now I'm going to go ahead and put these people in. I got two people down here on the path, so I'm going to go ahead and start with the head. And you make the head smaller than you don't need it very big. Make the head smaller than body. And then you start putting in the outline. This is the structure of the body here, and I'm going to put a little indication of an arm hanging out here a little bit, and then you come down to the lower part and you got put in a couple legs. So figures are not that complicated. It's just a matter of making sure you get to make a realistic size and a realistic shape. Just to indicate, this is just an indication. And these two people walking along. They're taking a walk along this beautiful Wonderland of Fall Colors. That's what I'm calling the painting, Wonderland of Fall Colors. I think it describes it pretty well. So that's what I'm going to title my painting today. Wonderland of Autumn Colors. All right, and they have two little dogs. We got a little dog over here. So again, a very simple shape. You get the body and maybe the head. The head, show the head a little bit, and maybe a leg, a couple legs, and maybe a small tail. And you got a dog. And then we get another one over here. Just a little simple shapes, not complicated. Don't put a lot of detail here. The more detail you put in, actually, I think the worse they look. The worse they look. And I can put a little indication, maybe a leash here, just a line down to show maybe the leash. Okay, there's two people walking the dog down the path. I like that. Now let me go back and let me see if I want to add in maybe a little more texture. I think I'll take this. I'll take this spray bottle with the yellow orange in it, and I'm going to go in again. Just put a little more drops of orange. I'll let that put that orange against that blue sky is what I want. Okay. Okay. Orange against that blue sky. So I'm going to really emphasize the orange. The yellows are there; they're the highlights, but I want the orange to really pop out. Okay. Now the last thing I want to do is maybe put in a shadow pattern. Let's see. I think what I'll do is I'll add a little more. I'm going to add a little more shadow to this tree. I'll use a little round. I'll use this Scarto brown brush. I'm putting a little more shadow on this tree, a little darker shadow. All right, let's see. Alrighty. What I can do here on some of these branches, take a little bit of color and I can put in some little spots of maybe a little bit of some leaves that hanging out there. Just put a little detail. Now, you don't want to overdo this, but you know it might be a good idea to add a little identification if you want to, and I think I do. Just add a little more definition of those limbs, showing that there's some maybe some dead leaves out there that are still hanging on to the end of the branch. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to do is I want to put some more shadow on the ground. So I'm going to take that purple again. And I'm going to put some shadow across the whole thing here. So I'm going to start in here with a shadow pattern across here, along the edge of the road. And I'm going to have a shadow coming across the road a little bit, going up the hill. There's trees over here that are casting shadows, so I can put that in there. And this light purple is a very nice color for shadow patterns. And also, I wanted to put a shadow. What I do is I try to darken out the corners of the painting. You don't want to have a white corner. So I'm going to put some more shadows back here on this side, on the edges of the painting. I want everything to go into the center here, which is where the people are and where the tree is and so forth. That's my center of interest. I'm going to load up that brush again with some more violet purple, and bring this across. And I'm going to mix up a little more. So I mixed up the quinacridone violet and put a little bit of ultramarine blue in it, and a lot of water gives me a light purple. And I'll bring that shadow on down from this tree, more on this side over here again. Darken this up just slightly. And I'll bring that shadow pattern. I want to bring this foreground now. I'm going to have to put shadow across this whole area. And I think we need a little shadow up here under these trees, and maybe a little shadow here from the people reflecting on the ground, the little dogs on the ground, to show that there's a little bit of shadow pattern from them. Okay, let me dry that. Let me just dry a little bit off a little bit. Okay, this was a loose demonstration of painting an autumn scene with trees, a little mountain in the background, and a nice roadway with a couple of people walking their dogs. I'm going to put just a little more definition. I'm going to make sure I got it nice and dry first of all. Okay, and we'll go back with this Escoda brush here. And down here I'm going to, these rocks and so forth, I'm going to put a couple twigs, maybe a small twigs and so forth, just popping up out of the ground. And I'll have them pointing into these are like pointers. I'm pointing into the direction of the painting, the area that I want the eye to follow into this area. And I'll put a little bit of grass up here with some dark shadows on it. And again, put some with some markers. These are called markers, and they get the eye to follow the direction. But this also follows the contour of this hill. Okay. Okay, let's put a frame around it. I think I'm going to stop almost right there. It's still got a way here. The spray balls are still damp on the inside, but I can put a frame around the outside of it. Let me just draw up just slightly. Okay. Let's put a frame around it. See what it looks like. I might put this up here on a panel board, piece of canvas. Pull it together. Let's put a frame around it. Now let's see if I can move the. I'm gonna move the. Move the frame just a little bit so you can see that. Okay, I blew up that. I mean, I brought it in as close as I can so you can see the whole picture. And you can see there's the top of the painting all the way down to the bottom of the painting. Okay, so that's my demonstration today of my Wonderland of Autumn Colors. And I like brushwork, very loose with spray bottles, very loose strokes. Not a lot of details on anything, just getting it all together. And the spray bottles added some of the dimension on here that I wanted. Okay, let's go back to my main camera. Okay. Well, I enjoyed doing that today. I hope you enjoyed watching that. If you've got comments or questions, then write up a question or comment for me. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Give me a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Helps a lot in my rating. And also make sure you subscribe to this channel so you'll be notified of my next broadcast. I'll be back again next week at Thursday. I come back on every Thursday live at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then later on tonight, I'll be here at 7:30 p.m. with Simply Drawing with Everett. And I'm back every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. So I'll see you this evening at 7:30 on Simply Drawing with Everett. And then on the weekends, I do on Sundays, I put out a short video called Anyone Can Draw with One Line Only. And that's a lot of fun. You might enjoy checking on that on Sunday. But if you're subscribed, then you'll be notified of all the videos that I put on YouTube and on Facebook. So until next week, you all stay safe. It's getting a lot colder out there. You got to turn the heat on soon. So you all stay safe. And we'll see you on my next live video.